Every time human beings pursue something, seems like a kind of competition has begun. Things start to move fast, money flies everywhere, and tension gets quite high. In these past years, things have been quite hectic, but the questions are, what are we after? What's the future in the gaming industry? And where do we draw the line with AI? Before diving into those topics, it's worth checking some years back in the gaming industry, when NFTs appeared. Make money while playing, bring that sword or item between multiple platforms, and buy new items from different people, while they also increase their value. Yeah, sounds cool and all, but what happened here? Another idea that the industry pursued for a while was VR. It looked as something revolutionary. Imagine being inside of your favorite games. You may be a junkie, but being able to move around those fantastic worlds was the ultimate goal. But what happened to these ideas? By this point, I'm sure some of you get where all of this is going. Because revolutionary ideas exist all over the place, and we could talk about plenty others, like when 3D stuff came. We had those stupid glasses, uncomfy as heck if you actually need to use glasses. And while Nintendo had an extraordinary idea, we all know what happened. Stadia made some noises here and there with its cloudy idea, but it disappeared as it appeared. Most people have no idea what it is. And since some years back, AI is coming to make another huge change. But what is going on here? What are we after? It is easy to answer.
Money!
At the end of the day, this is an industry, and people who invest their money here aren't that different to our reddish crap. What's unfortunate is that this is just part of something even bigger, because AI isn't just getting into video games, it pretty much came to disrupt everything for better or worse. And to me, it is easy to look at it as another industrial revolution. You know, if we take a look back, plenty of people lost their jobs, things changed quite fast, problems that we had no idea about suddenly became known, and the general pace in which we do things as humans increased. And this time around isn't that different, because this AI idea isn't precisely to make our lives easier in a sense, but to fill some pockets a bit more. This is where things will make sense of why I wanted to show the previous examples. And the deal is that the Gartner hype cycle explains quite well where we are with AI, because every time new technology comes, something like this happens. Right now we are here, expectations are high as heck. Because these past years, economy was a bit stagnant, but since AI started to permeate in our lives, money started to move everywhere. Those huge pools of money that were hidden suddenly appeared because everyone wants to get that 0.3% extra efficiency. Yep, we're starting to reach somewhere around here, where AI isn't delivering as many things as it promised. When we start to talk about video games, every now and then one of these humans who just look at Excel sheets and have no idea about them appears to share some of the most boring ideas, as if trying to show the next promised land, where we are going to die in ecstasy. However, since right now I can tell you that I am not excited at all, as this circus was set to trap some other humans who happen to have money to invest, because AI is a trending topic, where plenty of headless chickens run to reach a goal, because for better or worse the companies that try to share the next gaming revolution aren't that good, at least once you get past the usual titles. Because one of the greatest ideas is just to use AI to generate random comments for NPCs, like, dude, really? Some others explain that just by writing some prompts we will be able to create whatever video game we had in our minds. And yeah, sounds interesting, but I don't see this happen in the near future, at least like 5 years into the future, or even more. Then I will question the quality of those games, because I don't need to remind you what happened in the gaming industry in the 80s. And here's the thing, somewhere around 10 years ago, when the first image generator saw the daylight, things didn't go as intended. The task was simple, show us something, and Lovecraft cosmic horrors were nothing compared with how AI saw the world. This is one of the first images I remember back then. So at least it took like 6 extra years to reach a point where we can consider AI as slightly proficient. Because a couple of years back I remember people fighting all over the place trying to find if some images were or not AI. Yep, I know, we like to fight down things while clowns set the world on fire. In any case, last year some people from Soundful Interactive said that they tested AI, but it didn't feel right. So at the end it was used as something like placeholder while advancing with some other task. When it comes to be used as a tool, to be honest, I don't mind, because at the end of the day, that is what it is. A tool on its own isn't precisely bad. But every now and then there's a moron that tries to use it like a microwave. You know, getting some pre-cooked meals, throwing them inside and thinking they are the next master chef. Okay, let that comment sink. Same principle applies here, because something as basic as writing NPCs comments can be done in extraordinary ways. For example, a game that has a lot of life on that department is the Trail series. If you take your time to read comments all across the series, sometimes you find random characters 3 or 4 entries later, and now they are leaders of some gangs or things like that. And when you find those little details, it is something quite cool. But when it is sold as lifeless as just throwing random comments, it's like, I don't buy the idea. Because you are also taking part of the experience to create a video game, particularly for those hoping to jump into the gaming industry. Yep, you guessed it right. Plenty of interns start there, writing those comments we oftentimes see as meaningless. So, it isn't just to save some money, because I am sure it is going to be used as another excuse to increase efficiency, like, hey, I gave you a tool, now increase your productivity, I don't know, 50% because we need to crunch some more these projects. And don't you dare take rest in between because we need to be proactive. If that didn't sound like a fourth-rate manager, I have no idea how they sound then. The point here is that AI was also sold as a form to create new jobs, but so far I have seen plenty of them being taken away. Some of you may remember this video about reviews by the media. At the very beginning I explained that some co-workers were quite tense. And yep, you guessed it right. Plenty of people around those days lost their jobs because of AI. Ironically, some departments start to drown in work because higher-ups had no idea who they fired. And AI didn't precisely solve some of the technical issues. So what can I say? People looking at Excel sheets, I guess? Unfortunately, this is only the beginning because part of the gaming industry was built because people believed in strangers, who sometimes show creative and amazing ideas. Needless to explain how games like Cuphead saw the light. And this time around, one caught my attention too, Mariachi Legends, primarily because it's being developed by people from Mexico. So I expect good things from this game, but only time will tell. Nonetheless, what's important to notice is how are we going to catch those who just want to make a quick buck by showing a seemingly amazing video game? Because it is easy to promise. You know, like plenty of those huge companies, or dudes like Peter Molyneux. Yep, those who can create the next-gen RPGs and fall stupidly short because we tend to believe as when we were kids and stories about Santa or, in our case, Los Reyes Magos were mentioned. Well, the difference here is that these people can run away without that much of an issue, which is something big names cannot really do, unless they want to lose huge number of players, because trust is hard to build, but easy to destroy. At the end of the day, to me, AI is a tool that promised so much, and it took plenty of things away, but as someone said, the cat is out of the bag, so there's no other way than trying to readapt once again. But to be honest, I don't think it should be seen as something more than a tool to help with some task. I mean, back in my days plenty of teachers didn't like calculators, but they proved to be quite powerful to reduce repetitive tasks and focus on harder things, which subsequently led us to make better products. But it is also true that stress has skyrocketed to worrying levels. It is important to find a good balance between work and life. Just because you can do some more, it doesn't mean that you need to be burned in a meaningless way. But when everything revolves around speculations, and you crash the market because of dumb products that people do not want, even if you try to force them, then don't be surprised if the curtain falls at the mid of the act, because some of these ideas are like, yikes. Are you trying to sell some more smoke? Do you want to take advantage of some people's loneliness? Or did we forget what was Kinect all about? I guess a small piece of tape will keep us safe. It is hard to tell, because there are so many topics that need to be analyzed in their own accord. In a sense, I am a bit worried because sometimes good companies fall prey of these technologies and start working on pure garbage. But it is also true that they can start to explore amazing ideas and deliver great experiences. To conclude, I would recommend to look at all of this circus with a grain of salt, because as always, people up there can promise a lot and deliver pretty much nothing.